Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto you. Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachak, Wadash. Double honors to the apostle. This is a great millstone. Peace and blessing to the hopeful elect. Just want to come with a short and straight to the point lesson. Just want to talk about something that I've seen, like sometimes on my commute to work. And sometimes I would see, I don't know how long this brand has been out, but I would see people wearing these t-shirts or these sweaters that would say essentials, fear of God. And I'm like, at first I watched and I was like, okay, fear of God, okay, whatever. But then after a while, I start seeing more and more people with it. And I was like, what's up with this brand? Like, where did this come from? And as I thought about it when I was on the train one day on my way to work, I'm like, that's interesting because I went to church when I was younger, right? And I remember hearing sometimes people say, I fear God, right? And they would give lip service, word service, right? They would say, I fear God. Even if Shamyar was to watch this video, he'll know what I'm talking about, most likely. You had that scenario, you could probably pull it up on YouTube you could probably put on YouTube DeAndre Hopkins versus D'Angelo Hall. And it was when it was the, the off-season training thing. I forgot what it's called. And it was DeAndre Hopkins going against D'Angelo Hall. Now, it wasn't a fight, right? Now, something happened to where I guess when D'Angelo Hall said something to DeAndre Hopkins, and then DeAndre Hopkins said, I fear God, homie. I fear God. And that's what he just kept saying over and over. And it's just to give that, maybe for lack of a word, that bravado that, look, you're not putting any fear in me because I only fear God, right? So then when they went against each other, not in a fight, because these are two football players, but when they went against each other, DeAndre Hopkins being the receiver, D'Angelo Hall being the cornerback, DeAndre Hopkins, gave like a little move that broke the ankles, if you will, of D'Angelo Hall, and then he couldn't practice for the rest of the day. And then, that's when DeAndre Hopkins started talking to smack or whatever. But like I was saying, how DeAndre Hopkins was saying, essentially, I fear God. And it was only to let D'Angelo Hall know that, look, you saying something to me or you pressing up on me is not making you fear me because I only fear God. And that is something that people like to say. They like to give the lip service, the words, right? Or the bravado, the hey, I only fear God. I don't have nothing to fear from man, which is in the scriptures, right? Which, let me see if I remember where that's at. I think that may be Psalm 27. Now, this is something along the lines of this. This is Psalm 27:1. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Right? So David understood that, look, when the Heavenly Father is on his side, what do I have to fear from anybody? If Yahweh is on my side, who can be against? Right? And so that's the sentiment that people go along with in this world. But you have to understand the difference between, or people should understand, I should say, and those of us in this ministry who are doing the service as well, should understand the difference between David and people of the world. You see, David was a servant of the Heavenly Father. David obeyed the commandments of the Heavenly Father, right? Therefore, there is a difference between people of the world and people of there's a difference between people of the world and David. There's a difference between people of the world and us. We cannot be like people of the world who sit there and say, I fear God, but it's just lip service. It's just talking. It's just saying, I fear God, but really you don't, right? Now, I had this precept here lined up first, and it has Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 13. Listen very closely. It says, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. You see, after that comma, it didn't just stop and say, fear God. This is the whole duty of man. No, it said, fear the Heavenly Father, fear God, fear Yahweh, right? And keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. See, Your fear towards the Heavenly Father is not just in word, but also in actions as well. And that's what people of the world don't understand. They just say, I fear God, because they've been raised up to just say that, or they hear other people say it and they follow suit. But for us who are doing this ministry, this service, we can't just say we fear the Heavenly Father. We also have to have actions to back it up as well. I'll read this also in the Amplified and maybe the NLT as well, because it's not too bad. This is 1 John chapter 3 and verse 18. It reads, My little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth. Let's see what deeds says. Okay, so from what I'm seeing here, it seems like it has an act, deed, meaning work, labor. So something that you do, right? From what we can understand with the word deed. So let's get this in the Amplified translation. It says, Little children, believers, dear ones, let us not love merely in theory, with word or tongue, giving lip service to compassion. See, that's what people of the world do. They give that lip service. Yes, I love you. Yes, I fear God. Yeah, of course I fear God. Who else am I going to fear? That's the lip service. But then when you tell our people, hey, what commandments do you keep? Now, obviously, you are not saved by keeping the commandments, but what do you do towards the Heavenly Father to show that you fear the Heavenly Father? Right? See, that's the problem our people don't understand. That's something that we have to understand in this ministry. It's not just giving the lip service. It's not just saying things, but also doing things. We cannot call ourselves partaking in this ministry, but then where are your works? Where are your deeds? Where are your acts to show that you're actively doing something in the ministry? Yeah, I worship Yahweh Bashim Ashai. Yes, I fear Yahweh Bashim Ashai. But what are you showing that you fear him? What are you showing that you, right? What deeds do you have to show that you serve Yahweh Bashim Ashai? See? So again, let us not love merely in theory with word or tongue, which is giving lip service to compassion, but in action and in truth, in practice and in sincerity, because practical acts, the word acts there, of love are more than words. So people can give you the lip service, the word service of, I fear God. Yeah, I fear God. But then where are your acts that you fear the Heavenly Father? Right? Because the Heavenly Father requires us to live a certain way, to be a certain way, to not conduct ourselves in a certain way, to have a certain manner of life to us. And if you don't adhere to these things, you cannot truly sit there and say that you fear the Heavenly Father. Because you can't sit there and read, let me just say this, let me copy what Elder Basso Gabar says. We cannot sit there and say we fear the Heavenly Father, but we don't do what we're supposed to do, right? The Heavenly Father wants us to act, to have a certain manner of life to us. And if we don't adhere to these things, if we don't do these things, then we can't truly sit there and say that we're serving the Heavenly Father or that we fear the Heavenly Father. Then at that point, it's just lip service. We're just saying, like I said there, giving lip service, right? To compassion, right? There has to be an action. That's why Ecclesiastes 12 and 13 said, fear the Most High and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty, man. See, your fear towards the Heavenly Father should not just be in deed, but also, not just in words, but also in deed, right? Not just giving lip service, but also in your actions as well. I believe I had this also here. In Ecclesiastes 1 and 21, it reads, The fear of the Lord driveth away sins, and where it is present, it turneth away wrath. See, the fear of the Lord will drive you away from committing any type of sins. Why? Because you understand that the Heavenly Father wants you to do certain things. So you see, even in an inaction, which is an action that shows your fear towards the Heavenly Father. See, I'll say it again. Your action or your inaction shows your fear towards the Heavenly Father. Because if you know what the Heavenly Father wants and you don't do it, your inaction shows that you don't fear the Heavenly Father, and it's just merely words. But your actions that you do, right, towards the Heavenly Father, whether it be what He wants you to do or what He doesn't want you to do, shows your fear towards the Heavenly Father. So whether you act or don't act shows your reverence towards the Heavenly Father. And again, it can't just be in I worship the Heavenly Father, I serve Yahweh Bashem Yashai, but then there's no actions behind it. There has to be actions behind it as well. The same thing, like a person can say, I love you, but then if there are no actions behind it, how can you sit there? How could that person sit there and say that they care about you, that they love you, right? It's just to pacify you, right? That's why it said, going back to 1 John 3:18 in the Amplified, it says giving lip service to compassion, right? That I love you is just to pacify you, to put you at ease. Because usually when people hear those words, it puts them at ease, right? Don't worry about I love you, man. I always love you. But you see, the actions aren't matching up. The actions have to match up with the words. Therefore, there will be no, for lack of a better word, doubt. Yeah, let's use the word doubt. There'll be no doubt that this person cares you, because if they say that they care about you and their actions also match up, then it's true that they care about you. But if they say that they care about you and the actions aren't matching up, then you can safely say that this person doesn't care about you. They're just giving lip service to compassion, right? So, just like I said, want to keep it short and straight to the point. Just really want to get into that because I've been seeing that when I be on the train sometimes to work, and I see it say essentials, fear of God, and I'm like, that's very interesting. It made me think when I was meditating on, our people will a lot of times sit there and say, oh, I fear God, but then they don't do anything that they're supposed to do, right? And to a degree, that could get into another conversation of, well, they've never been taught the true fear of the Heavenly Father anyway, so how could they really know how to serve the Heavenly Father, how to really truly fear the Heavenly Father? And that's the important part for us. Begin with the elders and apostles from Great Millstone. They have taught us how to fear the Heavenly Father, how to serve the Heavenly Father, right? And then that brings about actions. So, like I said, just wanted to pretty much bring out my meditations, something that I observed on my way to work. So, Lord's willing, I'll end it here. Lord's willing. This video has been edifying and ending. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha, Kodash. Double honors to the apostle elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing to all for elect. Shalom.